Can you hear me, Woodsy? So far I cannot hear you if you're talking. I hear you now. Are you typing?
Me?
Yeah, I can hear it now.
Yay.
What?
Sorry about
No,
that.
it's all good. What's up, man?
What's up, man? It's good to talk to you. I'm a big fan, excited. Excited
Oh,
to chat with you about some
stop,
StarCrafting.
stop it.
I will never stop. I'll never stop.
No, much love, dude. I appreciate that. Uh,
Yeah, of course.
but yeah, yeah, but we'll definitely, I'll give you some analogies. I'll yell at you a little bit. We'll make you a better StarCraft player. It'll be great.
Sounds perfect. I hope to be totally demoralized and also inspired
Yeah,
by the end of
yeah,
this
that's what
lesson.
I'm hoping for. Exactly. Uh, so how's
I feel like it's taken everything within me not to be like, so Vibe, I'm bronze 2, and I think I'm good on my macro, so I think I'm just gonna let's talk about micro today. Is that cool?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the classic, the stereotypical like funny lesson that I feel like I have done before multiple times, and I'm like, it's not. I'll do it, but I was like, it's not really what it should be by people back in the day. That definitely has happened
Yeah.
before. Um,
Well, the reality is, I mean, this will be coaching lesson like any of the other ones. Obviously, it's like I'm in plat, I haven't cracked out a plat, so like it's all, I'm sure you're
sure.
gonna see tons of mistakes in my macro and all that, but I think it'll be fun. I have a couple like replays lined up
Okay.
that we could talk about, like different situations. I don't know how much we'll have time to get to, but
No,
yeah.
sounds perfect. I guess if you have them on hand, easy peasy, you could just drop them in Discord, and then I can do a little Discord share stream thing for you.
Yeah, I think they're in there in the right place. In the, like replays. Let's see.
Oh, you could do it with, like, even with me right now in the private chat. But if you already put them in the
Oh,
replay thing,
okay.
I could
Yeah, I
find it
put
too.
them in the SC2 replays channel.
All right. Okay, I see. Which one? So you have five. So if you had to pick one of
Yeah.
these to start on, which one do you? It doesn't like it doesn't matter if you won or lost. Which one do you think probably represents like a game you play often the most?
Let's do the one that says Void Ray Harass.
Okay. Okay, that's juicy.
Yeah, so I usually play Toss main, which is great, but I eventually, wanted to try something new and have been playing Zerg a lot. And I'm right around the same place as I was with Toss, so I'm just like in the Plat 2, Plat 1 range, but can't really get beyond that.
Sure.
Um, But yeah, this is like, typical situation where, Void Rays come out early and like deny my expansions. And in this game, I think I tried to like get some queens in there on the action, but just kind of fell apart.
No, for sure. Like queens are definitely really good against void rays. The only problem with queens is that they're really bad if your creep spread is not up to par with what it needs to be.
Mm,
So that unit is either
hmm.
amazing or terrible. And then after that, uh, yeah, just like having enough money to make enough of them at the right time is part of it too. But it's really the creep spread really makes or breaks a queen pretty hard. Uh,
That makes sense.
yeah. Okay, so do you see what I see? Are you seeing the stream on
Yeah,
Discord?
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. You're good to go. All right.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, I mean, you've seen this before, so you know how it works. It's super casual, super easy peasy. If there's any time, at any point in time, if you're like, oh shit, I actually have a question right now. I want to ask this because I'm curious. Please do not feel free, or I said that backwards. Please feel free to interrupt me at any point in time. I do not mind at all. I want to make sure that you get the questions that you want answered. And even because I don't want you to wait on it and then forget and be like, ah, fuck, well, I forgot what I wanted
Totally.
to ask. All right, so cool. Easy peasy.
Good luck, have
Uh,
fun, and beat 'em.
yeah, overall, I hope you're having a good day, dude. And sorry for making you wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
My,
Oh, no worries at all. Hope
yeah,
you're having a good day.
I'm.
Like I said, you've
I,
made
here.
StarCraft a lot of fun for me. Oh, sorry, I'm just
No,
sorry, I'm chatting. You're
you're all
already
good.
seeing mistakes, but
It's all good.
before you tear my game apart, yeah. You're the best. So that's all.
I haven't seen a mistake yet. I wanted to pause because I wanted to wait to see a
Oh,
mistake, and I wanted to tell you.
yeah.
So, because you'd probably appreciate this, because you're the behind the scenes with me today. You know a little bit how my day's going. But yesterday, or not yet, earlier today at like 8 a.m. It's only 2:46 p.m. for me right now. My brother was like, "You want to play some arena on WoW?" I was like, "Okay, I have time. I don't have to coach till later." and then I fucking slept for like 3 hours, and I was like, I have to coach now. So,
Habits the best of us.
yeah, my bad on that. Fuck, but yeah, thank you for being super easygoing about it and super patient.
No, of course, of course.
All right. Yo, SCV, thank you very much for the 9 months. Much love. Thank you, thank you. All right, you're double stacking. You're 75% of the way there on the close patches. Easiest thing you could, like, the best way the only thing I would ask you to do in the future for your games, if you're not already doing it, is always on every map, look at the middle of the mineral line. It's the easiest place to look because it's always going to be double stacked. The way the automated mineral line goes, how they all go to the middle and then fan out afterwards, the middle will always be double stacked. And if you just watch the double stack and you send a drone from the right and the left of the middle to the right and the left of the line, so this guy right here goes over here, and then this guy, if this patch on the bottom was only one drone on it, he would go down here to this patch, but it has two, so you're fine. But this one only has one, and that's something you could fix super easy peasy, and it would increase your income.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's something I would recommend you to start working on, like, a lot, because it's so easy to do and it's so worth it. Because this is something that you're going to be getting a benefit from for the next 8 minutes.
You mean just those outside patches to focus on those two?
So
Okay.
so not every map has the exact same mineral line, but generally speaking, middle patches are always the lesser patches, the far patches. And the way you can tell if you're not sure, if you're like, well, I just don't know. A far patch has 900 and a close patch has 1800. So you want to double stack the patches with 1800 as fast as possible. Because here's why. There's 2 reasons. Number 1, a close patch is literally what it's in the name is what it is it's closer to the hatchery. So you get more money per return just because it's less travel time. And then the second reason why it's really important to do this properly is because if you don't do this and you leave far patches stacked, especially if the patch automatically goes for 3 on the patch, you will mine out the mineral line faster than you're supposed to with a far patch because you're leaving drones inefficiently stacking up on the lesser mineral patch. And it will make your hatchery drop down on mineral patches where, like, let's say one of your patches mines out a full, like, 90 seconds early, and now another one of your patches mines out a full, like, 90 seconds late or something like that. And then what that's going to do is it's going to make your mineral line lopsided for longer, and it's going to make your you have inefficient mining then start going everywhere. So you have, like, one inefficient patch that mines out really fast because it's oversaturated, and then that in turn deletes it, and it creates more inefficient patches in your mineral line at an earlier time than you should be ready for. So it's just double negative. Every base after this is not a huge deal about it. It really doesn't matter that much because the more drones you have actively mining the whole time, the less each one individual drone matters in the grand scheme of things. And also by then your development will be a bit better. Like, you're not going to just be developing off of 12 drones. You'll be on like 30 drones, like mining minerals ish. So it's not nearly as impactful, but it's super huge here because it's like the basis of the whole start of your build. So it's pretty huge. It's something you definitely should just put some effort into working on. Always, because you do it always. It never stops.
Right.
Okay. Now this is something that I would say is important. Make sure always you're going for a 16 hatch, not an 18 hatch. Because if you go for an 18 hatch, it might not happen to you a whole lot in plat, but this is a bad habit that you will develop if you don't stop doing this. And you're going to always have games that are going to have your natural getting blocked every game if you go for 18 hatches.
Yeah, there's another replay I have where that's happening,
Okay, yes,
so that's a good tip.
I'm glad it already happens to you because, yeah, it makes you realize that is punishable. Like, this should be a 16, not 18. And then the perfect numbered as well. Here's the perfect number. When you hit on the top of the supply here, when you hit 16 supply, all you got to do is try to grab. There's 2 things you should do. Okay, it's a little technical, but it's like if you fuck it up, you can always fix it. But what you should try to do is try to grab a drone that is number 1 on a patch with 2 on it and not just 1 on it, and number 2, try to grab a drone that is on a far patch that is also on the side of the mineral line that is towards the ramp. Okay, so grab a drone that is on a far patch, and then ideally have that patch have 2 on it already, so you don't just make the patch be empty. you let it go back down to 1, but you're grabbing a far, like this drone would be perfect because it's closer to the ramp, and it's not a close patch that you would disrupt. This drone would not be great because if you grab this one, it means this patch is now naked. Ideally, you know what I mean? So that's how that would go, and the perfect time to grab it would be at 180 minerals in the bank when you're at 16 supply, because if you do that, you will mine what is worth about 120 minerals traveling to the hatchery location. So 180, grab your drone and try to do it on a patch that's far with 2 drones on it, and then you're good to go. And then you'll have like a perfect expansion timing, because the reason why that's so important and technical is because you're gonna realize like later on you will have a probe that will, it's like a race to the finish line. It's like the probe is on his way and he's gonna block you, and then a lot of times you'll have games where it's like your drone will make a hatchery as the probe is right there, and you're like, I barely got it off. Oh my god, if you do it right. But if you ever mess that up, you'll be like right here coming down your ramp and the probe's already at the natural, like, haha, I'm gonna build a pylon. And you're like, thanks, Protoss. You're so fun to play against.
Totally.
All right, so
yeah, the other replay is a supply depot block like happening over and over again, and I'm just like going insane.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, this right here. This is you're doing. So you're doing. I'm gonna just watch for like one more second here. I want to make sure you're doing B2GM. You're doing B2GM, right? Yes, you are.
Yeah,
okay.
Trying to.
Okay, no worries. No, it's you didn't mess up the build really, other than the hatchery was super late. And the build would be 16 hatch, 18 pool, 20 gas. But otherwise you did it fine. The only thing I don't like is that you're saturating the natural mineral line when this is 16. And I would say this to you. It's actually more worth it to oversaturate your mineral line up to 24 than it is to long distance mine like this. Like your drone efficiency can be up to 3 drones per patch. If you have 4 drones per patch, it has 0% efficiency for that 4th drone. It literally does nothing. But if you have 3 drones on it, you will mine more, because there's 8 patches, and then if 3 drones per patch, it adds up to 8, 16, 24. That's why it would be 24. And then if you have a 3rd drone mining any one of these patches, it's more efficient for that drone to do that than it is for the drone to take a big travel time run down to the natural and then mine it and then run all the way back to the main and turn it in. It's just, so never ever long distance mine unless you're above 24 and you're still making drones. And then you're like, I gotta send them somewhere. It's the only way that would ever make sense.
Got it.
All right. And then, yeah, but as soon as your natural is done, definitely send it down. Like, so if you had like, let's say you had 21, just for instance, I would never be like, okay, just leave them on there forever. Obviously, if as soon as this space is like either just about to finish or it is just finished, you can grab the excess and be like, go to the natural. That's totally fine.
Another queen. Nice.
All right, hold on. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna watch this really briefly here, but I wanna see what you take your pool. Okay, so you went for an 18 hatch and a 17 pool. Just make sure these timers are pretty important because your queens were fucked there. And I was like, why are your queens messed up? I didn't pay enough attention to that pool. Definitely don't go 18 hatch, 17 pool. Definitely go 16 hatch, 18 pool, 20 gas. That's the only thing that in the build order wise you should remember that is like specific to the number. Because if you mess that up, it's gonna make your timers lopsided of like how things go down. And like for instance, this one's huge because it could make the probe block you, but this one's pretty big too because it disrupts your queen timing.
Mm-hmm.
Because now your hatchery or your pool's done, and you can make a queen on your main hatchery. And now the reason why this is annoying for you is because you're gonna have the only way to do this perfectly now is if you have constant like lopsided timer injects, and I don't think you'll do that. So, what are you drinking? You drinking Mountain Dew?
Oh, you can hear that? Oh my god.
I'm just fucking with you.
I feel exposed.
I'm just joking. You're like, I'm on vacation. I can do what I want. It's a fucking beer. All right, no worries, dude. Okay, your gas.
Oh, it's sparkling water. I'm I'm being good. Promise.
Sparkling water. I've never gotten a sparkling water. I don't know. I can't do it. When I was in Australia, I was forced to drink it many times, and I was always like, I can't even finish like one glass. I'm just like, oh man, can I have some like still water, please? I'm like normal water. I don't know. I'm not a sparkling kind of guy, I guess. All right, so this is pretty important. What's happening here for you? Your gas is super early. So what you'd want to do is your first 2 queens pop out of your hatchery, and you inject both your hatcheries. And then as soon as the larva inject finishes and all 6 larvae just plop on the ground and you spin it all, you then take that larva and you make it all into drones and maybe an overlord if you need a supply, which is fine. But you basically spin the larva first as a priority, and then you add on your roach warren and an evo chamber, and then you add on double gas, like right after. So, because you want the main goal, the main focus, just to like always make sure it's a golden rule of thumb that you never break, is that you never focus anything over larva. You always focus larva first, then do something else. Larva first, then something else. So larva first here with the inject. When it pops off, you spin it all, and then you make your tech structures, which will be, you won't be able to afford them otherwise first, which is why you wait. Because if you make them first, your larva will sit there for a while you try to spin it eventually, which is really bad. Because every second a larva is spent into a drone, and then it becomes a drone, increases your income. So that's, you always want to prioritize that. And this right here is, this is just really early because you don't even have the roach one started yet, so you can't even really spin this properly. And if you so this is already 1 drone that's not mining, and if you were to rip off a mineral line now too, you're gonna have a really weak mineral line for a while now. All right, now I'm gonna back it up one more time here, and I'm gonna look at your scout, and let's talk about your scout for a second, because this is relevant.
I think this might be why I panicked and took a gas earlier, actually, now that I'm remembering. We'll see.
For sure. It definitely has moments where it does, that kind of stuff happens to you. And right now what you see is you see someone who is still having, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna tell you what you see. I want you to guess, like, I want you to look at this and tell me what you think about this, and then I'll tell you afterwards, because I want to make you think about it. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you feel like is potential for Protoss here?
Well, I think aggression, because the Nexus isn't even done, and he has 2 gates and a core and a second pylon. But yeah, not much more than that.
Okay.
So I just expect something's coming out.
It's honestly, it's super simple. You answered it correctly, I would say. The fact that you referenced every building here is important to understand, because number 1, there are 2 pylons here. All right, okay, we'll come back. That's really not the most important thing, but it's just one of the things we'll talk about. Number 1, the Nexus. That Nexus is humongous. This Nexus tells you are not getting all in. That's what that tells you. This tells you, even if he is aggressive, he's not all in. It'll just be harass. It's like a harass territory, not an all in territory. This double gateway investment early definitely tells you he's going to be aggressive, because that is too much production. And he also prioritized this before the Nexus. So this is an investment that he needs to capitalize on. And, you know, otherwise it's just, his build's awful and terrible. And then if he doesn't capitalize on it, you're super far ahead. And then double pylon tells you there's no proxy. With all of this, this tells you, yeah, we're not being proxied at the moment as well. And not only is there no proxy because there's double pylon, there's also no proxy because he couldn't afford it, because there's a Nexus here. So there's multiple things that reinforce that decision of, he's going to harass me. Or go ahead.
So is it like, can I just send my first overlord in there, and then if I don't see a second pylon, by the time my overlord is like in the base and it's going around and it doesn't see one, I can conclude that there's definitely a proxy somewhere? Or
yeah,
I guess
100%. Yeah. There.
Yeah.
So if the guy, if you scouted his base right now and you were like, there is legit no second pylon, like at all, the only way that would make sense, if there just wasn't a second pylon period, would be if this guy was sitting at like 24 supply or something, and he was just blocked.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, this guy just apparently doesn't like to get rid of supply blocks.
Right.
So 100% by now, when your overlord gets here at 2 minutes, there should always be pylon 2 down by then.
That's super helpful.
All right, and then that is another massive sign of aggression right there. A chrono boosted core. Now here's a super simple way, or actually, yeah, I'll just tell you. It's fine. I'm not going to always put you on the spot all the time. I just want to do it there because it's kind of important for you to think about how to scout.
Totally.
But a good way to react to this is think about your tools that you have and think about the options that Protoss has. And your tools would be, you have the option of going into drones because you are not prioritizing speedlings, and you are not prioritizing a Roach Warren before a layer because you're not owning the guy. So you're not you are not prioritizing military units essentially. And the last thing in the world you want to do is make a bunch of slowlings against this. So one thing you could do that would be super helpful to you, which would make it, this process would be even easier if your hatchery was on time, which is why this is another reason. This is another reason that's very subtle, but it's something we didn't even reference with your hatchery being late, where it went down to 18 instead of 16 when it should have gone down. But what you could do against this is you could use drones in a way that's creative that allows you to protect them and just make more drones, because it's all you want to do right now. Because you don't want to make you don't want to make any units until you're fully saturated on this base and you're fully saturated on this base. So what you could do is you could make Roach Warren, Evo, wall off with another Evo. And that would literally, you would spend one extra drone to wall your base off, and you could drone your ass off for the next, because so the thing about it would be is if this is a depths, they're gonna take forever to break your wall. Literally fucking would take all day. And if it's stalkers, they're gonna break it a bit faster. But if it was stalkers, you could literally just go, oh, he's attacking me with stalkers. Let's take one drone and let's make a spine crawler. Like you could totally, you could make a spine if this guy is gonna try to break your wall down. You don't have to freak out and make like 10 spines, just one spine. Because when your 2 queens pop out, you'll have, because you should be making 2 queens out of your natural and 1 queen out of your main, and then you should make a layer while you make your second queen out of the natural. And then what you could do is you could literally have, by the time the wall breaks open, your spine would be done, because it would take a while for that wall to break, because the Evo Chamber is relatively tanky. Then you have a spine and 2 queens pushing him back, and then you could still fully saturate your natural, and then make roaches the second you're done. And by the time he got enough units to genuinely overpower your queen and your 2 queen and spine, you would have roaches being made already anyways. And you would just be having a banging economy versus someone who is prioritizing aggression a little too much. Then, like he's like going down the rabbit hole of like falling behind if he does that. If you play that way, I just recommended. So to
do that, would I have to use the energy from the queen out of the natural to drop creep down first instead of inject?
So on some maps, yes, because the wall is impossible to wall on some maps unless you have a creep tumor. The way that would work would be if it's a map that's further away from the wall. But on other maps like this one, no, because the automated creep from the hatchery, it actually connects to both walls.
Okay.
So that just comes from experience.
Me being new to Zerg. Yeah. Like,
no, for sure. Yeah. No, I can't just be like, that's like an essay question. Write it down and study that. Like that's something that you'll get from experience, because you should be walling almost every game anyways. And then whenever you play a game when you're like, time to take my Roach Warren and time to take my Evo, if you're like, oh, I like legit cannot build it against the wall on this map particularly, I will, like, you know, let's say that happens 30 times to you. You'll be like, okay, well, this map is hard to wall on. I need a creep tumor if I need to ever fully wall. And it's really important to know that as well, that information, because this is a rare occurrence, okay? This is super rare. This is not like a standard game. This could still happen to you, though, and it's relevant to know it. But the game or the matchup that you'll play a lot, I'm sure you know what I'm about to say, that you need to understand how to wall on, because you will get all in quite often by a bunch of melee units that will try to run your base, is ZVZ. You're going to get fucking speedling flooded on ZVZ quite often. And if you don't know how to wall, you will learn pretty quick, or you'll lose a lot.
Yeah. Is there a time that I should know I need to be walled safely, like, to avoid those? Because I definitely do that.
So, yeah. So check this out. So in general, on the map, most units at the start of the game take about 25 to 30 seconds to cross the map. Like drones, like slow lings, things like SCVs and probes, they're all the same speed as a drone. Just things in general, roughly 25 or 30 seconds, anywhere in that time frame. The only units that increase the timer, or decrease the amount of time it takes to cross the map, are units with some type of mobility skill. And so like if speedling is done, then suddenly it's going to be faster. If he makes a depths, they can shade across, and if he uses it on cooldown, he can get across the map a little bit faster. Stuff like that will make it go down. But yeah, but if the unit's faster, it's going to be somewhere between like 15 to 20, not 25 to 30, because they have a little bit of mobility increase. So that's something important to know. So I would say, just to make yourself feel safe, you have roughly about 20 seconds. Okay, if you like take the average of all of it, if you're not really sure what you're dealing with. But if you look at this, if you look at your scout, you scouted the natural, and then you scouted that he's already making units, and you also scouted that he has a core done. Now, something important to know about the core is a core. When a core finishes, you can make a unit out of the gateway, and when a unit you make out of the gateway, that is something that unlocks from the core, gets made, which is an adept or a stalker. Or no one's really like sentry doesn't matter, because if someone makes a sentry, they're not going to run across the map with a sentry and attack you with like a sentry, as that unit is not good by itself. So it's going to either be a stalker or an adept. Those are the scary things for you to deal with right now. And knowing that both of them have the same build time is important, because it allows you to calculate how much time you have to react to an adept. So it's now I'll say for this example particularly, because you got here when the core was done, you don't know exactly how many seconds that these have been started for, and the second your overlord saw the first gate, you know for a fact that he already has been starting one. So the easiest way you could confirm this is you go like this. This is how you could be using your Zerg Sherlock Holmes deduction. So it's already started the second you see it. And it's not something that is going to be the easiest to read, but you could immediately go, okay, well, if I know that a stalker and an adept have a 30-second build time, remember that. It's really important to know that. If I know that they have a 30-second build time, it means that automatically from right now, I have a timer that starts that says at 30 seconds, guaranteed, they're going to be popping out, maybe sooner because I didn't see this right away. So you know for a fact you have 30 seconds or less to deal with this. But you also got to understand there's now this is more technical, and we're not going to talk about this too much because it's a bit more extreme. If you know the build times of like gateway, core, pylon, things like that, you can kind of calculate when it started. But that's more extreme. That's a lot more extreme than just looking at the gate. Because that the last thing that I want you to do is like try to calculate his entire build order every fucking game and be like, okay, well he made that, and he made this, and he made that. Like that, like you will eventually do that, and be able to like just go, okay, well I know what his build was, so I know what he's capable of. Because like I can not just say, oh, I know he went gateway core first before Nexus, but you can literally say, oh, he went gateway first, so I know that the adept is gonna pop out around this time. Like that's something you'll get, just again, that's kind of experience. You'll get used to that over time the more you play people who play like this. But simply put, all you got to do with your scout now, looking at this, is go maximum 30 seconds, and it could pop out earlier than that, and I need to pay attention now to what probably pops out, because this is going to be aggressive, and it's actually important to know what is going to attack me. So as soon as you saw double pylon, I would say it probably would be in your best interest to stick around in the area to some degree of the gates. Just as like I don't give a shit if your overlord is way over here and you see the edge of the gates, or if your overlord's over here and you see the edge of the gates, or here or here. It doesn't matter, as long as like right there. That's all you got to see. You should be having like you should be, if you really want to know, you should take a look at this really fast and go, what am I probably dealing with right now? Is it going to be adepts? Is it going to be a stalker? Like what is it? And yeah, now that you know it's adepts,
picked up SC2 a few months ago and was never able to.
Cosmo, I'll play that again. Sorry, I'm in a coaching lesson. That was a super long one. I appreciate that though. Thank you very much, man. But yeah, I will play that again in a minute, and I will do it after the coaching lesson. But thank you, man. I super appreciate it. All right, so it like this right here. The reason why this is relevant to know when they pop out of the gateway is because again, you didn't know exactly when they were going to pop out of the gateway. So the second the adept pops out of the gateway, that is the unit with mobility. So you have a little bit less time to react now, because you could shade across the map and get to your base a little faster. So you have roughly 20 seconds from when that first adept popped out. So if that first adept popped out a few seconds ago, maybe like 2:35, you have probably till about 2:55 to get your wall set up. So so right now, your creep is on its way to spreading to the wall. And it's already starting to touch this wall, and it's already starting to touch this wall. So like right about now, you should get 3 drones down here and just prioritize the wall for this game specifically if you want to react to what you see here. So obviously this
and would that would apply to like Terran if I saw two racks early, or
so no, it would like racks not so much. because Marines. The reason why is because Marines are Marines could like kill your. So let me say it like this. This is why it wouldn't work. So it's a little bit more technical, but you can make racks when Marines out of the racks way faster than you can make Stalkers and Adepts, because it doesn't require a cyber core to make Marines. So like another tech building. So you could actually have a large buildup of like 8 Marines by the time as like the Protoss would have only 2 Adepts. And then if there's like 8 Marines shooting your wall that you're trying to start, it's gonna die faster than it builds. So you'd actually, if you saw 2 racks, and you were like, oh god, 2 racks really early and he's making Marines, you'd be better off just like making a spine as a priority, because he can't actually run into a spine effectively at all. Like a spine will beat the shit out of Marines really hard. The example that's really similar to this for Terran would be if he doesn't expand right away and he goes for early gas and he goes into a really, really fast barracks into a factory with like a reactor, and then he swaps into like quick as fuck Hellions. And then suddenly like super fast Hellions are being made, and he's going to drive to your base and try to kill your drones. That would be a very similar example to what this is. But you have
because I could just deal with it by building the wall in the same way.
No, exactly. Because the last thing you want to do, the last thing you want to do is make lings right now, because it's going to mean you can't make drones, and you can't make roaches period right now because you don't have a roach warren at the moment, nor should you. It's really early. But if you just wall off, which you can right now, the Adepts can't do anything to you. Because your creep is literally done spreading. It has nothing else to spread, and an Adept is never going to break the wall. And right about now, he should be here if he's using a shade properly. There you go. So if you had a wall going up right now, and the reason why I knew that is because I knew 20 seconds to like 25 seconds, or like somewhere in the range of like early 20s, he's gonna be here. He could obviously be here a little bit faster if he's like really maximizing the shade. But if I went back in the replay and I watched this, I guarantee, like I know for a fact that this dude probably did not do his shade very well. If I just go really quick here and watch this, like let's watch how much time he wastes per Adept here for shading, and that'll prove why he's not there at like 55 and why he got there like 9 seconds later. So his Adept spawn at like 2:33. All right, let me pause it right at 2:33 or 2:34. So right, like how many seconds does he wait to shade the first time? And he also stops.
He's waiting for the other one.
Yeah. So he waited 9 seconds to cast his shade, and then he also waited like at his natural for a while. That's why he was late. So you saw Zedep pop out, and then he should have been at your base about literally 9-10 seconds before he got there, because he should be there at 2:55. Or sorry, yeah, no, what I said is right, 2:55. But he gets there at like 3:04, 3:05, some shit like that, 3:06. So yeah, not great. Like that's something people do all the time, where they don't do something as efficient as they could, but they don't maximize time. Like waiting would give you the opportunity to build the wall. So if you knew how to counter this would it's the same thing like sorry, it's the same thing like what we just talked about earlier about how your hatchery was 18 instead of 16. That is not efficient, because if your opponent knows how to punish that, they 100% will with time, because it's not going to ever work because it's too late. Just like this shouldn't work because it's too late if you had a wall. So that is something that you just need to understand. You need to make sure you understand that your power is in mineral only, and the only thing you can do with mineral only against people who do something like this that's crazy aggressive to you is wall off your base. And for each race, it's Adepts for Protoss, like double gateway for Protoss, it's Hellion rushes for Terran, and it's Zergling rushes for Zerg. If you wall off against any one of those, you totally ruin their build. And then you buy yourself enough time to fully saturate your base, and then make roaches. And your wall should be 1 Roach Warren and 2 Evos. Or if you fuck up your wall, it could also be 1 Roach Warren and 3 Evos. If you like, you know what I mean. I feel like if you didn't play with Legos as a kid, and you're like, damn, building the wall is hard.
It is hard, right?
Because yeah, now we'll add this up when this is over, and we'll compare what it could have been. So it's over, and you right now have 22 drones, and this is not including the drone that was wasted because you actually just canceled it, and now he counts back for the for the 22 drones here. And you just lost 8 drones. So you would have lost 3 drones. Because here's the crazy part, right? You would have lost 3 drones to build the wall. But the funny thing about it is you're going to lose those drones anyways, eventually, to build the wall. Like you're going to build it at some point anyways. But you would have just prioritized it a little bit early to protect all the drones that died. So instead of being at 22 drones right now, you would be at +5 because you would have 3 drones invested in the wall. You'd be at 27 drones right now. And you would then also have your investment done, which you're going to be investing to anyways, which is 450 minerals. Or no, sorry, it's 300 minerals worth of investment because it's 75 plus 150. So 300, and you have to now scrape 300 plus as well out of your current bank account to like pay for the wall too now. So things are getting a little dicey for you.
Yep.
And now this is one of those moments where I would say the game is definitely going to be really hard for you to play from this point. Like it's, I mean, the Protoss kind of messed himself up too by lowering his economy, but so it's a little bit of a lower economy game overall. But yeah, this is definitely, and then yeah, you definitely want to wall off. Make sure you wall off 100%. Only because, so I know before in B2GM I said you don't need to wall off against Protoss, but you need to understand the difference of aggression or macro. And if it was macro, yeah, 100% you don't need to wall off against Protoss because he might show up with a bunch of stalkers and you're like, fuck, I got a wall now. I have to run my roaches like 1 by 1 through a wall, and you don't want that. But if he's playing not aggressive, you should never think that, oh, he's going to be at my base attacking me before my roaches are out. You know what I mean? So, and then also, like, yeah, it's just huge to identify the difference. So if your scout can go, yeah, no aggression, he's definitely an aggressive. I got to deal with aggression now. Definitely make a wall.
I mean, it sounds to me like I should just make the wall either way, like at my level.
No, I mean, you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing you're going to be like maybe annoyed with your wall is if like the guy goes void rays and let's say the void rays poke you like right here and your queens are like right here and your creep spread is not great, so you didn't see them coming from really far away. And now your queens have to come back to the main and he's going to overcharge your main. That's what his strategy is. Like, I'm going to go to the main and kill it. And you're like, queens, go to the main. And your queens are like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 through the wall. It's like a traffic jam.
Right.
That's the only time it would ever be annoying for you, really. Okay, now another thing you're messing up is you're taking the 4th gas. Do not take the 4th gas. So the way the gas goes is it goes 1 gas to open with your 18 or with the 20 gas, and then you open double gas right after you make your wall after your first inject gets spent, and then you don't take all 3 other gases, which is gas, and your final gas. You take all 3 of the last gases off your 3rd and your main once you're fully saturated pretty much on your 3rd base.
Okay.
So this is way too early on the gas. It's gonna just disrupt your. It's gonna lopside your economy like pretty hard. You're gonna have way more gas than you need. And then same thing again here. Definitely do not long distance mine the 3rd base if you can help it. Or yeah, definitely oversaturate your natural until this is done and then go. It's like this is just a lazy man's way to play it, and it's less efficient.
Right.
So if this works for you for now, it doesn't have to be priority number 1, but this should become a priority eventually to not do that.
Right.
Okay. All right.
At this point, I'm like, I saw void rays. I'm like, I built some spores. I got some extra queens. I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
Then I get destroyed.
So I would say in this game, you actually don't need to make more queens, only because it's not a 1 base void ray rush. If this was like 1 base like proxy void ray or something, I'd be like, yeah, okay, you kind of have to make queens here. There's no way around this. But if this is like a 2 base opener and 2 later voids, like he went 2 base opener with 4 gates and then he went void ray, you could 100% have been fully saturated already and then already be making hydras. So your economy is just super far behind where it should be. And you're getting things you don't need. Like you do not need link speed right now. And spore crawlers, I'll accept it. I would say you really don't need spores if it's voids, the way you built them. But there is always the reason why I'm okay with this is because there's a lot of Protosses that will make a void ray, and then they'll just make an oracle, And then if you don't have a spore and an oracle shows up, you'll wish you had a spore. You'll be like, fuck, I'm going to lose like 8 drones right now. And a spore could have made that not happen. So I'm okay with spores. It's fine. And your timing of spores this game was fine too. You're doing it when you have when there's actually a threat of Stargate, and you're doing it when you have a lot of drones too. So that's fine. But yeah, I do not actually really like the more queen investment because for this game particularly, normally that's something I will never say to you at like Masters or like Diamond League because there's way different builds you'll be doing. But for this B2GM style build, literally I kind of wish you just stopped at 4 queens and just really maximized your income as fast as possible on fixing your economy, like getting it to the proper point, and then making hydras and going, oh, he's got Stargate. Now my hydras will be more than enough. And the reason why it would make sense is because this guy is not rushing Stargate. He's going for like a macro transition Stargate. And you're not gonna. I also don't want you to micro the queens. And if you don't micro the queens with active vision and stuff like that, they're kind of a waste to make, because the queen is a unit that it needs maintenance to be effective. If you make a lot of them, that is.
Hey, they're attacking our base.
So like that's a moment right there where I was kind of talking about how if let's just say you had hydras already at like 7 minutes. You could have easily defended this, and you could have honestly had hydras by 7 minutes. It's just all the disruptions this game has slowed you down pretty hard. Even with disruptions, you're starting to have hydras now. They just weren't there to help. And then yeah, like the creep too. Your creep is not that bad, but the creep is definitely going to make this kind of stuff go away, like not be a problem anymore, because you'll see it coming before it hits you. So good rebuild on that base. I would say right now, you should be getting ready to take another base too. Like I would say expand again. Okay, you are. Good job. That's a good expansion.
Boom.
Nicely done. It's like you heard me. This though, this is not good. You don't like this.
I don't know what happened there. I'm embarrassed.
You're probably panicking. You're like, oh fuck. Oh my god, things are falling apart. Void rays exist.
Exactly.
Just a tip for all Zergs out there. There is a thing you can do to change your priority to make void rays way less annoying. And all you got to do to change, or all you got to change to make it easier for you, is you go, how do I want to spread creep as Zerg, generally speaking? Normally, you go towards, like, outwards on the map, and you fill in as you go. Like, you connect your bases, and you go outwards towards his base as fast as possible. That's normally what you do. Like, you want to just spread throughout the map, like, forward. But when you play against someone who you know is going void rays, spread your creep the shape of a T, like sideways. Like you spread it like going out towards the pathways that go sideways, and then the second you get there, you do not go down anymore. You go straight to the side of the map, as fast as you can, and you go straight to the side of the map as fast as you can. Because if you do that, if you actually like shove your creep into the wall as fast as possible, not at your mineral line, but at the next area, and then you continuously take the corner of the map with that creep timber. So you go to the next mineral line away from your base, because again, here it doesn't give you time to react, but here does. So you would spread it here, and then you go straight down the entire time, and you literally just skirt the border of the map, because a void ray player is not going to be going like this. Time to attack you. I'm right here. Come on, bro. He's gonna go. All right, time to attack you across the corner of the map, and then go up. And then be like, I'm over here. And then if you saw him crossing like right there, you'd be like, oh, cool. Well, my units are currently right there, and I can now run from here to here, and the time it takes him to go from here to here. So you can always defend it. It just gives you a warning, essentially. And then once you have just one tumor and one tumor prioritizing the border of the map, then you fill in middle with the rest of your tumors. All right, so like right now, what you definitely need is you need to hit, I would say you need to hit, this is definitely, like I said, this is really important right now because you definitely don't want links. You need drones to be at 66, really bad, and you need hydras to take you to 120 supply. So you have a lot of supply that's going to be doing a lot of nothing right now. You have a lot of queens that you're not microing. And then you have a lot of lings that are literally pointless right now, because the only way they would be effective is if you're going to counterattack him. And that requires multitask, and that's the last thing in the world you want to do because that requires micro. And it requires you to macro while you micro, and it's fucking too much. Like, definitely don't recommend that for plat. And then you're overdoing spores now too. Definitely, I'm okay with the 1. Definitely don't make 2. Spores are god awful against Void Rays for early game setups. Yeah, it's just you just be better off just making a good economy and making hydras, and then having your hydras protect your base. So if your creep spread is not where you want it to be, and you're like, well, fuck, I'm dealing with Void Rays and vibes that have creep against the map, but my creep is not there. So now what do? You could be like, all right, go like this. Take your mineral line and go like this. Mineral line, rally point. Like, so you have a rally point and a mineral patch, and the rally point of your units right there. And why would you put it right there and not there, anywhere else? Because Void Rays are going to come at the side of your hatchery on the exposed side, so that's why you would put it there. And if you go in the mineral line, it protects you if they come from the back as well, or if they come from the front. Like, it protects your drones too, really heavily. So you could just make hydras constantly and be like, hydras are spawning right there to defend it. Same thing with the main base. You could be like, main base, rally point right there. And then they're going to, hydras will just spawn. They won't disrupt your drones because drones mineral walk through units when they're mining resources. So it doesn't do anything to that. And they just stand and protect the mineral line. And then your third base, could be like, you could say, hey, third base, rally point, maybe like right there if you wanted to. And what you could do then is you could go, okay, well, if I ever see him attack a side of the map, I just go back to this area right here. I green box these hydras and I go, hey, hydras, reinforce. Or hey, hydras, reinforce. Oh, you could do that too, and it would be a super easy way to deal with Void Rays. If you're like, creep spread is not good and you're...
And like multi-prong.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then it would just make it just makes it to where like, you're not all of your hydras are here, and then he attacks your third, and you're like, ah, shit, okay, well, let's run over there. It's dead now.
Great. Story of my life.
And if you take a fourth base, like that, you could actually say, hey, natural, you don't need to be protected because you're protected already indirectly by that and by that.
Right.
So you could go right there with your natural.
Right.
Our army be
Yeah, at this point it's just like, Hail Mary.
No, for sure. Like,
do something.
Yeah, this is where the micro has to come in, right? And you need to like identify that and maybe like try to push the wall here, but then there's no fucking way that's happening. So you would just have to realize that at like 8 minutes and 8:30, doing like a 17 or like 18 Ling counterattack is probably not going to work at that point in time. Like, you missed the window for that to be effective.
Right.
All right, so you're suffering from poor Zerg syndrome right now, and you just don't have enough drones. By now, you would definitely want to have 85 drones or so. 4 bases fully saturated, and then you would just be cranking hydras because by now, you should be maxed out. If things were going well for you. So now that they're not, you're gonna have to play this like low supply game. And I'm gonna let you know a secret. I do not want you to play spellcasters against Skytoss because that is fucking even hard for Diamond and Masters players to do. It's super technical how to micro that without making mistakes. Like, it's even hard for me to micro that when I'm playing against Skytoss in my games on ladder when I'm playing for real. It's actually one of the hardest compositions to ever play in the game against Skytoss. It's very difficult. So it leaves you an option now, which is called preventative. You should be playing a preventative style, and what a preventative style means is if he gets here, you're kind of fucked. Like, if it gets to a point where he's going genuine Skytoss with carriers and stuff, and he just has more supply than you, you're probably just going to lose the game then because you didn't prevent this from happening. And the way you prevent it from happening is all the things we talked about earlier, because the only thing I really want you to do against this is literally make good macro, make a good hatchery, make good drone counts, make your hydras, and make mass hydras once you identify it's just mass Skytoss, and then upgrade your hydras with carapace and missile weapons off of double evos, and then literally just go, oh, I'm maxed out, A move, maxed out, A move, maxed out, A move, A move, A move, like just repeatedly attack his outside bases, break his account, break his bank account, and you'll win the game. Because if you were maxed out right now, here's the thing. If you actually did it right, if you had all the proper supplies and shit and you were maxed out by 9 minutes, you'd be walking across the map right now to attack him, and you would be attacking him by probably, like, let's say, like, you attacked him by like 9:30, okay? And you were like, you were here now with a maxed army walking into his base right here. If you walked into this base and you attacked it, you just auto attacked him, like you attacked here, You then attacked here on the ground.
Right.
And then you attacked here on the ground. Your Hydras would clump up on this Nexus. They would completely destroy these 3 cannons. And if he tried to fight you with that army right there, 100% you would win. This is not enough to beat like 50 Hydras.
Right.
And then you would break his base here, and then he would just run out of money, and he would eventually die. Especially if you just remaxed and did it again. So what happened now is, ideally you would have wanted to have attacked by like 9:30, but you're attacking by 11 minutes. So Protoss supply is a lot bigger, and you're also attacking before you max out. So you don't even have as much as you should. You should have like 25 more Hydras than you do, essentially. Really, 24 more Hydras. So this is huge, because if you're missing 24 Hydras at 11 minutes, not only does he have more army than he should at this point, now that's a much bigger army than it was before, but also your army is much smaller than it should already be right now too. So it's just a double negative for you. And what this results in, and you're also microing that. Do not micro that. You ran into him, and now you're focusing the Nexus while you're gonna lose like 6 Hydras before the Nexus even dies to these cannons. So definitely just A-move the ground and let it just be, because what you should be doing right now is having perfect injects. And that's a lot of queens, right? And your Hydra count, even if you were maxed, your Hydra count would be even lower too, because you have so much fucking supply and queens just standing here. But perfect macro and perfect creep spread. Because if your creep spread was better, you wouldn't feel the need to make a bunch of spores like this.
Crazy spores, yeah.
You're just like, fuck, I'm blind. What if he comes here? Spores!
Exactly. Exactly. I think what's tough, like, at my level is, like, watching B2GM and, like, seeing it go in the orderly way, but then, like, once a few things happen in a game and, like, I take some damage and I'm a little behind, I'm not sure if, like, I need to adjust or just, like, go back. Exactly.
Yeah,
so that's why I'm like throwing things out there, like, oh, maybe I just need to like kill his expansion or something.
Sure.
You know.
You just gotta do your best to stick to the plan. Like, never deviate from the plan as much as possible. And then there's only one time a deviation might make sense, and it's as simple as this: wall off your natural, because he went double gateway adept, and the last thing in the world you want to do is make lings, because lings are absolutely fucking useless if you're not opening with speedling opener, which you're not.
Right.
So wall off your natural, and everything would have changed for you. And then when you start making roaches, and like, well, once you get to a point when like you're like, oh, I'm pretty much done making drones now, have your queens at your natural, start killing an Evo chamber to open up one door, like the doorway essentially. Because if you completely wall off, you're gonna be stuck in the base. So you could be like, all right, let's open up the door, and then now I can go take my 3rd base. And the door will be open as well as you're starting to make roaches. So when the door is open, if he attacks you again, oh, I have 8 roaches, or like 7 roaches, or whatever you made, 6 roaches to like defend that, and then you're fine.
Right.
Because if you walled off, those 2 adepts would not die, and they might attack you later. But then if they attack you once you have 6 roaches, they're gonna not kill 8 drones.
Right.
So yeah, that's how that would go. And then if that went that way for you, and you prioritize timers correctly with like when to do what, you would just have such a better build up of everything, and you would hit your timers better overall. Because like, and that's really all it is. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, this is something that a lot of, like, I'm not saying that you're saying this, but a lot of people say this. This is like a common misconception of B2GM. A lot of people think that builds change over time, and that suddenly B2GM looks like it's fucking easy, smooth sailing, easy peasy, just casual. And they play a game in their ladder games, and they're like, bro, I fucking deal with people who attack me all the time. Like, it's fucking not the same. You need to make a new guide, because it's the different beast out there.
Right.
And what it really is it's the person that is dealing with attacks just doesn't have the right amount of shit at the right time. Because they do things like they deviate, where they'll do shit like, I don't know, I just went for gas on my natural at 6 drones on the mineral line because it felt like it. Right. And then I felt like taking a roach warren after my 2nd inject, not my 1st one. So it's like 35 seconds late. And then I, you know, I made 3 spore crawlers just because I felt like it. Like when I was literally at 32 supply at like 2 minutes and 40 seconds in the game. Like it's like if you do all these deviations like this, it fucks everything up, and then it makes timers off. And people don't think like that. They're like, well, I did your build. You're like, no, you fucking didn't.
Right. No, I'm a believer. There's so many games where I'm getting hit over and over and over again, and then I just keep macro, and I win, and I'm like, I did it, vibe.
Yeah,
you should be proud.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It worked.
That's great. It's how it's how it's supposed to feel, right? It's supposed to feel like you're just like, wow, well, if I play efficient, I just fucking rolled this guy over.
Right.
So for you, it's like just really get technical more about your opener. Make sure you're going 16 hash.
Right.
Make sure you're going 18 pool.
Right.
Make sure you're going 20 gas. Make sure you're immediately making queens together when this is all done, and you're making an immediate queen. Like when this first queen on the natural is like 90% or like 95% of the way done, like seconds from popping out, start another one. And the second this queen pops out, immediately make a layer while this other queen's queued up. So when the first two queens pop out, it's immediately matched with a layer and another queen. And you're like just cranking like timers perfectly. And you're always going 5SD, 5SD, or 4SD, 4SD, 4SD. So you're always pumping out that larva. And then the only differential that you ever will put in the build that is not supposed to be just repetitive is based off of your initial scout of their opener. And if you scout aggression, you're more than capable of making either a spine or a wall off. And the only reason why you would ever prioritize a wall off is if you can 100% confirm, yeah, no, he's going to run in my base and kill my drones right now. So if that's going to be the case, you're more than welcome to wall off. But you don't need to wall off unless you see something like that. Like, let's just say hypothetically, you just didn't see a natural. And you were like scratching your head like, huh, what is he doing? You can literally just get away with just making a spine. And then you're fine. Because if it's like a tech-based, one-based thing, and you're walling off, and you're fucking... Because walling off that early will fuck up your economy a little bit. But you can justify it if it means it's going to protect your economy even more. That's the justification of it. But if you don't know what he's doing and he just doesn't have a natural, what if he decided to take like a gold base and you were like fucking walling off right away? Or what if he like just is teching up to like 111 or like a faster Stargate starport type thing, and you're walling off right away, and then he just drops your base with medevacs, and you're like, what? Wait, what the fuck? So yeah, definitely don't do that unless you know it's going to be like a Ling rush, a Hellion rush, or an Adept rush with like multiple gates or like a fast factory reactor, or the Zerg is literally just massing Lings, and you're like, oh fuck, okay, I need a wall now.
Right.
But yeah, like right here, your Hydras are gonna get totally shit on. Like we kind of knew that was coming before it happened.
Yeah.
And now again, this is just another like you're another foot in the grave right now. This is you've sealed your fate a little bit more with that, because that's gonna be expensive as fuck for you to take a massive loss like that, and yeah, it's hard to recover.
Right.
And now, yeah, this is why I say preventative is huge, because now you're once again about equal supply here. But this guy's army, if we talk about what is worth in supply, this guy's army is worth against Hydras. His army should say up here probably like 220. And your army right now against his army, if it was a genuine 172, and that's just what it is, your army should say about 115. Because that's really what it's worth. Like, this is not... Like, supply doesn't always mean power. This is definitely not an equal match fight here. This is like a heavyweight fighting like a kid in high school. Like a heavyweight in MMA fighting a kid in high school or something. And you're like, okay, this is going to be a bit of a mismatch. There you go, right? Like, it was just obliteration. It was storms
and they're gone.
Yeah, storms with Hydras and everything just fucking falls over.
Yeah.
But yeah, build up is huge. So if you just clean that up and you identify in all matchups what you need to do with an opener about how can I maximize drones, again, spine, wall, or nothing, and like just do build as normal if he's doing normal expansions as well. That is going to be huge for you. And then remember, these are the huge ones to remember. Okay, do not mess these up. Gas timers and supply timers. If you mess these up, it fucks the build up like crazy. So this is something you need to like really try to make sure you do right. First gas timer, 20 gas. Next two gas timers is right after you make your Roach 1 Evo, after you spend all your larvae off your first inject. So that's going to be a little bit after your first gas. It's going to be when your mineral line probably has like 12 on it or some shit like that. If you're like cranking drones like crazy. And I can't give you a number in the game for this, like in terms of clock, because if you fuck up your larva, it's going to mess the timer up. So just do your best to go Drone, 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 drone. Never larva cap. Just always make your drones and increases your, like, just make your larva as efficient as it can be. And it will make this as good as possible. So gases 2 and 3 always start after the first roach horn and evo, like right after. And then gases 4, 5, 6 are when your third base is pretty much fully saturated. I'll allow it if you have anywhere above 12. I would say if you were like at 13, 12, 14, 15, 16, 18, whatever, for the number on top of the hatchery, anything that is 12 or above, if you make your gases, then I'm totally cool with it. But keep in mind when you make your gases, on your third base, you just pull drones off the mineral line, that's fine, and make your gases. But with your main, try to do this, okay? Try not to take off your mineral line. Try to grab a drone that pops out of the hatchery, and you can even take an egg and go, well, I made like a bunch of drones. How about I take one of these eggs, just one egg, click it, and right-click the gas with it. Do not disrupt your mineral line. Because I saw you did that as well. You disrupted your mineral line to make the gas, and you also disrupted your mineral line to make the spores. Now, if you have to make the spores by doing that, that's okay, because again, that protects your drones if you really need to. But if you can help it, if like you're just making spores because you're like, I don't know, I feel like I probably need them though. If that's the case, try to grab new drones to make those things and not existing drones, because you don't want to disrupt patches that are properly saturated, because then it fucks it up a little bit more.
Right.
But yeah, so that's your timers of gas right there when you'd want to be taking them. So you have a great mineral economy. Now the second thing to not mess up is going to be your supply when you make worker or when you make army. So you make nothing but worker. Keep this in mind. There is only the only circumstantial situation where this can't happen the way I want it to for you is if you're either getting proxied by Terran or Protoss, like he literally has fucking gateways or racks right in your face, and then you have to make lings then with like a spine or something and queens to defend that, or if the Zerg is going for a 12 pool, like really, like he's got lings running to your base before your pool's even done. If that's the case, then yes, you have to make lings. You have to make lings against that, and then you have to make like a spine and try to guard yourself, and then once you get through that, you go back into droning and try to progress again from there. But if that's not happening in the game, if you're not getting proxied or 12 pooled, you want to make sure you don't fuck this up. And what you do is drone count wise, you always fully saturated main except one of your gases. So 1 gas plus 16 drones on the mineral line. And then you fully saturate everything at the natural. And the reason why you don't prioritize the second gas in your main over the second gas in the natural is again because you want to not fuck up your mineral line. Because you're not prioritizing your natural mineral line, but you are prioritizing your main mineral line because there's less stuff going on at that point in the game, and it's really easy to do, and you want to maintain that. So this second gas in the main should be last, the sixth gas you make, and it pairs with gases 4 and 5 at the third. So anyways, yeah, you have fully saturated and fully saturated with 1 gas in the main. So you're gonna roughly what you're gonna be at drone count wise is right around like 41 to 42 drones. And the reason why 42 drones in the top right is a great number to use here is because 41 drones is perfect saturation for main and natural for 3 gases. But then if you take 1 drone off and go take a third base with that right at that point in time, you'll be at 42 because that 1 drone is going to be running across to take your third, which is going to be the 42nd drone. He's drone. He's like, it should be a movie called Drone 42, and then he's the guy who expands into enemy territory. So that's why you would go to 42. You make sure you make a note of that. 42 is when I start making roaches.
Right. For
drone count. And then not supply, just drone count, because queens are also supply, and you don't want to stop. You don't want to start making roaches at 42 supply, because that will mean you're stopping drones at like 36, because you actually have 6 supply of queens. So 42 drones, then you make roaches, and then once you make like 6, 7, 8 roaches, you drone again. Once again in top right, you mouse over it. 66. You do not stop making drones until 66. And what you want to do is you want to just make drones like crazy until you have about 12 drones. And when you have about 12 plus drones, you do 3 things. Take your gases. You take your hydrogen plus your second evo if you haven't started it already. So your tech, your gas, and you expand again. So you do a new, like you do all of it. You do a new economic edition, which is an expansion. You do your gas development, final, all of it, and then you do your tech development. So hydrogen, evo, 3 gases, and a natural, and a hatchery at the new base at the 4th. You do all of that at once, around 12 plus drones here, while you're still using your larva to make more drones. And then you stop droning at 66. Because if you're at 12 drones here, your drone count at that point in time is going to be about like 53 or some shit like that. Because you have not finished the 9 drones on gas, plus you need like another 4 or so here to finish the middle line. So you're going to still be making drones for a little while. Once you're at 66, then your hydrogen should be done because you made it earlier, right? You didn't make it at 66. You made your hydrogen probably like at 52 or something, 53. So once that is all done, you then prioritize, okay, well, now let's start my carapace upgrade. Let's start my hydra upgrade. And now let's start making whatever I think I need to make, whether it be hydras or roaches. And if you don't know, just make hydras because they're more universally good. They're more versatile.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you make hydras all the way to 120 supply. And this includes everything. So you go to 120 supply, which will give you a nice, decent amount of units. You'll probably end up making like 23 units that are hydras or roaches or whatever you're going to make. And then you go back to droning at 120 supply to 85, anywhere between 80 to 85 drones. And you literally make a big round really fast from 66 to 85 for your 4th base. So you're going to crank out a roughly like 18, 19 drones in one inject cycle really fast. And then once you're there, you literally make units the entire game from then on. And if you don't fuck that up, what I just described, you will max out guaranteed at 9 minutes or faster. And if you get really good at it, you'll max out faster than 9 minutes. 9 minutes is what I would say is the baseline for efficient for platinum. But you can definitely go fast. You can max out at like 830 with that shit, which is more like diamond plus. Like you're macroing like really efficient. So questions about that?
And then I go pro.
And for sure. Because I mean, the thing is, all this stuff that happened to you, if you would have done the proper like efficient form of the wall and then the macro, all this game would look so much different. You'd be like, well, Vibe, watch how I stomp this guy. I get over to his base and he just dies. Is that how it's supposed to go? Yeah, okay, cool. But you have any questions about anything we talked about?
No, I mean, that makes sense. I think I'm gonna have to just like write down the numbers and just work on that. But this has been super helpful.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I'll send you the VOD of this by tomorrow, so you'll be able to listen to it again whenever you want. It'll be on YouTube.
Hell yeah. Repeatedly.
Yeah, man.
Over and over.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Till I'm the next Vibe.
There you go, dude.
That's the plan.
You're the one who's gonna make B2GM 2022.
That's right.
All right. Well, dude, thanks for doing it. Thanks for doing a coaching lesson, and I hope you have a good rest of your day and all that stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much, and good luck, and have a great stream.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, guys. There we go. This has been a coaching lesson with Woodsy. I know Woodsy had like 5 replays to go through, but this one definitely was like, yeah, there's always stuff you got to talk about when you see someone's gameplay where like this is irrelevant to talk about because if the setup is not proper to get to that point, you're always going to lose when you get to that point. And really what you got to talk about is having proper setup to get to this point, because then this isn't as much of a problem as it actually is if you have bad setup, right? So that's kind of where it goes a lot of times for players that are, or when I say a lot of times, that's where it goes every time when it's a player who is honestly in platinum or below, because there's usually just going to be, not everyone has the same hiccups, but everyone's going to have hiccups in their build that lead up to the points like this. And really fine-tuning your build to make sure that your build is clean as hell, like to get here, will definitely increase your gameplay and make it to where like you can then actually talk about this, because you don't have, like, it's like you actually have the proper tools that you have given yourself to now deal with this. Now, how do you deal with this when your opponent also does this efficiently as well, and he knows how to get here like in an efficient way? So then it becomes like a whole different conversation about like, okay, well now we're going to talk about micro and how to set up like control groups and how to set up efficient like multitasking. But right now, yeah, if there's fundamental macro problems, you definitely can't talk about that stuff. But yo, Sneezy or Woodsy, bro, thank you very much for doing the lesson. You're a delight to talk to. You're a great guy, and I hope what we talked about makes you better at the game. I hope it definitely helps you in the future. And if we talk again at some point, I look forward to it. But have a good, or guys, thanks for watching. I hope this helped you as well. Have a good rest of your day. Go play some games. Good luck if you do. And I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever it might be. Until next time, peace, guys.